What's a movie that's a ripoff of another movie and no one seems to notice or care? I'll go first.
Toy Story is a ripoff of Brave Little Toaster. Watch Brave Little Toaster, you'll know exactly what I mean. John Lasseter was involved in the development of both of them.
Although I have just learned about the Super Carlin brothers fact about the entire backstory of Andy's dad, which I didn't even know existed, it's a very interesting story to say the least, having almost a whole nother movie about just Andy's dad and where Andy came from. I will have that video linked down below if you don't know the story. But the first clue we got to Andy's father was not just not seeing him or mention in the films, but the pictures on the wall. Now before I go into that segment, I do want to mention that way before I found out the actual story of Andy's dad, I did try to do a deep dive on who Andy's dad was, or at least his features based on Andy's and his mother's, and eventually I came up with him having brown hair, green eyes, between 5'8" and 6 feet tall, and with an eager personality and imaginative. I will also have that video linked if you want to walk through it and figure out how I got this. Now if we look closely at the pictures in the segment of You Got a Friend in Me, when Woody slides down the railing of the stairs, you can notice all the pictures on the side. Now the first thing I recognized when I saw these pictures was it not only didn't really look like Andy, but I recognized it as a different character, the owner of the appliances in the Brave Little Toaster. And when you think about it, it could actually make sense. The appliances seem to have been abandoned for some time, apparently years, until the house eventually was going to be selling. I also want to point out that the master, as a child, also had glasses like the pictures in Toy Story. John Lasseter was involved in the development of both of these films, and there are tons of similarities if you've watched both of these films. The only time we really get to see the master in the Brave Little Toaster is when he is going off to college. When he returns to the cabin to get the appliances, you can see that he still had this connection to them, even after all this time. If you look at his personality, even though we don't get a whole lot of screen time, but we don't get to see a bunch from Andy either, he's still similar to Andy. And even if I'm wrong about my theory of the traits, like the green eyes for Andy's dad, when the master has a child and the Brave Little Toaster goes to Mars, the baby has blue eyes, just like Andy does now. But I wanted to know what you guys think about this. Do you think there is enough evidence to say that this character could very well be a representation of Andy's father?